Hey, what's going on everyone? Mighty Nano Tank here. Thank you so much for all the subscriptions. I really appreciate it. I didn't expect, everyone to subscribe and all the positive comments about my tanks and you guys really like it. So it's really cool and it kind of keeps me motivated to keep up with my contents and show you guys a little bit more about the tank. So I thought I'd make a video on a little behind the scenes and what really goes on with my innovative marine 25-gallon, kind of like a little in-depth, a more in-depth look to it, and explain some of the things I do, and hopefully you will be able to apply some of my techniques and the things I use over to your nano tank. So let's get to it. Alright, so before we begin, I just want to clarify something real quick. I guess I've been confusing some people with my last video saying that I'm leaving the hobby, and then now they're thinking I'm having a change of heart and coming back into the hobby. So what it is that I'm not leaving the hobby altogether per se. I'll be tankless in about mid-year time frame where due to the circumstances I won't be able to have any tanks up. So I'm actually just taking the proactive approach and removing the corals off of the rockwork now, and not letting the further encrust on the rockwork. This way I could just put it on plugs, let it heal, and then sell or trade off or give away. This way a lot easier to shut down my tanks without all the corals in there. And I will be keeping this tank for sure. So just to clarify that, I'll still be in the hobby, but I'll be tankless for a few months, probably by mid-yearish time frame. But I hope to restart right away when I get back. So this is how my tank normally looks like during the daytime with not much blues on. So here it is with the gel filter. And as you guys can see, here are the colors of all the corals. It's getting later in the day, so corals are starting to close up. Let's take the gel filter off and let's step through it. So I always run a screen lid for the tank for sure because of the wrasse and the scooter I have in there. The mesh screen here, it's a do-it-yourself. Here, let me take it off. So this aluminum frame is actually from Home Depot. It's the bronze one. Just cut the size, get the brackets, get a sill, and the mesh netting is actually from IKEA. You know, where you place in the cabinet for dishes. So that's what it is essentially. Pretty easy to do. Set that down. Let's start with the left back chamber. So in this chamber here, I use the in-tank filter caddy, and it fits really snug here. And please don't mind my my mess. I was just on vacation, so I haven't really cleaned anything in the back. Here's the filter floss that I have in there, and then so in this chamber here, I use it to grow chaeto. So let me get my handy dandy plastic tongs. I don't want to handle this stuff without gloves just because there's bristleworms and I don't feel like getting stung. But yeah, it grows chaeto really well. I grow it's able to grow a lot. So what you're seeing here are the dosing tubes. I use the BRS 1.1 milliliter doser, and I use this line here to dose my alkalinity and calcium, and this one's to keep my magnesium up. I've only done this more recently, or started doing this more recently, due to some of the heavy loads I have, and especially for the clams. So let me move this aside. I can show you guys. Second chamber of chaeto that I have here. So there's my little ChemiPure packet, and there's all my chaeto that I grow. So moving along here, all I really did for the pump was I replaced the stock one with the Cobalt MaxiJet 1200, and that matches to the stock gallons per hour very closely. So it allows for the proper water to go out and the proper flow rate to go back in, so it doesn't drain the back of the tank, as you guys can see, too low. This is the Smart Micro Auto Top Off sensor. And in the back over here, you guys will see my Cobalt Neotherm 100-watt heater that I use, and it keeps my temperature in the display precisely at what I want. And I think I have it at 78. Yeah, I have it at 78. So moving along this side, to the right side of the chambers, you guys are probably thinking, whoa, he has a turkey baster here. This is actually my handy dandy turkey baster. It is invaluable for nano tanks. And here's what I essentially do if I ever have some free time. But I at least try to do this like at least twice a week. I just literally use this to blow the sand bed everywhere. And this helps keep detritus from settling in one place. And then what it'll do is detritus will float up and into the overflow, and your filter floss will catch it. So this is why I change my my filter floss twice a week, because it gets pretty dirty in the back. Giving you guys a closer look at the back right two chambers. So I do like to keep plugs here. I believe it helps the corals encrust a lot faster, so I'll always keep a bunch of plugs in the back. Just right below that, it's pretty much just biomedia, and I have a mixture. I have a Seachem Matrix biomedia and Hawaii Pond biomedia. I don't remember the exact name. I'll have to get it for you guys. And I do run carbon, small bag of carbon in here. And this here is an in-tank media basket, and I also use it to just keep biomedia. And the most I'll do is rinse it, but that's not very often. And if you do rinse it, don't ever rinse like all your biomedia at once. Just do like a little bit at a time, like I don't know, every other month or something like that. But it shouldn't get too dirty because your filter floss helps you catch all the detritus. But anyways, that's essentially all I have in the back chambers. I keep it really simple. I don't protein skim. I don't use reactors. Maybe some setups with SPS corals require it. However, I've never ran into a high nutrient system in this tank. I actually have to dose nitrate in this tank to keep up my nitrates around 2 to 5 parts per million, and that's how well the Chaeto does in the back. So I'm pretty confident that if this was a SPS dominant tank, I wouldn't need to skim either. Let's move to the more fun stuff, and lights and power head. So what I'm currently using now is the Vortec MP10 quiet drive power head, and I absolutely love this power head. Before that, I was using the Corellia and then replaced it with the J-Bow SW2, and those work if you're on a tight budget and you need some extra flow in the tank. Definitely go with those. But if you could afford it, this is where I completely believe in paying good money for better products. But I absolutely love this power head. It moves water very well, and it never decreases when it's dirty, or it doesn't decrease as fast as the other ones. I haven't even cleaned this for like about a month and some change, and it's doing really well. Moving on to the lights. So these are the lights I have currently over it. These are the Radion's XR30 Pro, and these are the Generation 4s. They are absolutely gorgeous for this tank, but it is overkill. I'm only running these at 11% intensity. I am following the custom AB setting for LPS corals from straight from Ecotech. It's an absolute beast. Before that, I was using 1AI Prime HDs over this, and it worked out really well. But what started happening is any corals that sat out on the outer edges, it just got a little dull in color, but it grew corals perfectly fine. So then that's when I put a second AI. So I actually had 2 AIs over this, but I'm actually planning for a future bigger build. So, which is why I got these lights, because it'll be able to handle I think it'll be able to handle a 93-gallon cube with just one single light easily. So that was part of the reason why. So yeah, this is all I really have for the tank. Before I even had all this stuff, I used to just have a smart micro ATO, and I put calc washer in there, and now that alone was able to keep up my alkalinity and calcium. And I hand dosed magnesium about once or twice a week to keep all my parameters stable. It wasn't until recently where I fully stocked the tank with stuff and everything started taking off growing, had clams in there. I had to get a little bit more technical with dosing. But other than that, this is all I run for my tank. Like I said before, try to keep everything as simple as you can. If you're not too sure, if you never test it, don't do it. So if you don't know what your alkalinity is, don't go and dose alkalinity. If you don't know what your iodine is, don't try to go and dose iodine. Always try to completely understand what you're doing before you go and do it. Otherwise, it could have really bad consequences. And if you guys were wondering if I'll be updating my YouTube and Instagram, definitely I'll just come up with some creative content while I'm tankless and take you guys along the journey and show you guys some interesting stuff when that time does come. So definitely stay tuned for my YouTube updates and also my Instagram updates. I've been very active on there, so definitely follow me at Mighty Nanotank on Instagram. You can pound it? Yeah, that's what's up. You gonna do pretty? Oh, good boy.